So, what about these quadratics? Can you give me some help on these quadratics? I'm glad you asked. It's your girl Tiffany from Tiffany's Tutoring and Consulting LLC, guiding you through these SAT education streets. So, now we're going to go into quadratics. Dun, dun, dun. A lot of kids just kind of fight for their lives with quadratics, but they're not that bad. I'm going to give you some techniques to solve problems on the SAT. This is again test number 4. We're going to continue on this test for a while, and these are problems that are quadratics. Okay. So, what is a quadratic? I'm glad you asked that question. A quadratic is a function where the highest degree is 2. So, you can look at all of these, and these are all quadratics. So, the first one says, what is the solution to the given equation? Now, this one is pretty straightforward. We're just going to use basic properties of equality. We see that 25 and x squared are being divided. The inverse of division is, you got it, multiplication. So I'm just going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 25. That's going to cancel to 1. 1 times anything is itself. 36 times 25, 900. Now I got to get x by itself, and I want to still do an inverse operation. So if I want to inverse squaring, I'm going to take the square root, because the square root is raised into the half power. And then if I multiply the half power times 2, that's going to give me 1. But we'll get into that in another video. I have another video about that. We're going to take the square root of both sides. What you do to one, you have to do to the other. So my answers, are x plus or minus 30. Now, obviously, I only have one of the answers there, so my answer has to be B, which is 30. Okay. Take a minute, pause, think about it. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. All right, number 8. H of x equals x squared minus 3. Which table gives 3 values of x and their corresponding values of h of x for the given function h? This one, again, is pretty straightforward. You have your input and output. The biggest thing that throws kids off is if you don't understand the difference between input and output. The input is what is going in, it's the independent, and the output is what is coming out, and that's going to be the result. So that might also be called y, but this is function notation to say h of x. So literally, all I got to do is I put in my first input value, which is the same for all of the functions. So I'm going to do h. Sorry, not going to do it like that. Do a little erase there. There we go. I'm going to do h of 1 equals 1 squared minus 3. So that's going to give me 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. So I know that based off of that, my output is negative 2. A got to go. Also, C got to go. Now, before I put in h of 2, I want to look at my answer choices, because, again, you're against the clock here. And I see that when I input 2, my output is 1 for B and D. So it's no need of doing that. So I'm going to input 3. Okay. Input 3 into this function. And again, I just like to put parentheses just to make sure it's separated, but you don't have to use parentheses. Then I'm going to go ahead and do my math. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. So that means my answer has to be B, 3 and 6. All right, our last one. The function f of x is equal to 1/9 x minus 7 squared plus 3 gives a metal ball's height above the ground, f of x in inches, x seconds after it started moving on the track, where 0 to x to 10, or 0 is between, or x is between 0 and 10. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the vertex of the graph of y equals f of x in the xy plane? Okay, a lot of wording, but this is actually a pretty straightforward question. The first thing you would need to know is vertex form of a quadratic. So when I have vertex form of a quadratic, this is what it gives me, where my vertex is h comma k. Okay, so this is vertex form. I know that for my vertex, it's an x and a y. In this case, it says that my f of x is the height. So we're going to put height here. And then I know that my input is my time. Okay, so that's time in seconds. Okay, so now I'm going to look at my answer choices. My answer choices pretty much have 3 inches or 7 inches. Okay, so if I'm looking at height, I know that my K is going to be my height. Okay, and when I look at my answers, I see that in this case, K is 3. So that means my height cannot be 7 inches. So B and D are gone automatically. Just again, knowing the difference between H and K, input and output. Now, A and C. A says the metal ball's minimum height was 3 inches above the ground. C says the metal ball's height was 3 inches above the ground when it started moving. If you look also at vertex form, you'll see that that K is also your starting value. That's your initial place where you started. And also it talks about f of x is x seconds after it started moving on a track. Okay. So 3 is actually where it started. it's going to be your y-intercept in this case. So my answer is A. All right. Hope that helps. Come back for part 2 of quadratics. All right. Talk to y'all later. Peace.